An art history lesson. Between the left and the right, as simple as that designation might be, the right wing has always created or funded more art. And certainly more worthwhile art. This is a fact of history. If you look at the Renaissance, most of that art was not created by left-wing radicals or what would count as left-wing in that time, but rather by right-wing nobility or right-wing institutions like the Catholic Church. While there's always a certain amount of transgression that would happen in things like, nobles taking power, revolutionary circles, assassinations, that does not necessarily equate to left-wing, or what would be left-wing for them. In reality, people like the rulers of Florence, the Medicis, the Borgias, were all very right-wing and very much in the pursuit of power and very much in the pursuit of creating art that they thought was good, noble, made them wealthier to look at. You might be like, well, that's just crass materialism. Yeah, but they're also like dudes who stab each other regularly. What the art they made, was not the materialistic art that you're thinking of. When they wrote their books and their art, they actually had a deep, spiritual nature to them. Most of the time they were depicting, Jesus Christ. And sometimes they were cheeky with it. They put their T's as the Virgin Mary. But instead, that doesn't change their politics. That doesn't say that they believe that there's no spiritual nature to the world. While some certainly believe that there was no spiritual nature to the world, they also pursued power within the Catholic Church like crazy. In other words, they understood that the religious institutions were the places of power that they needed to be, and that if they adopted those modes, they'd have a chance of getting, that power for themselves. But fundamentally, they understood that they had to acknowledge the spiritual in their lives. When these Italians were stabbing each other, they might have had a certain amount of atheistic view to murder, but they still went to mass beforehand. They still had a priest there to pray over the soul of the poor sod bleeding out on the street. The art that they made was layered in metaphors that meant that could only come from a people who had a rich spiritual idea of the world, and not from a people whose sole goal is a materialistic breathing in and out of life until